What's going on, you guys? Welcome to my basement. If you guys have been watching me long enough, you know that it all started with this right here, okay, during the build. And if you haven't watched that, I would encourage you to go back in time, watch the build. It was really cool. It's something I'm proud of. I'm glad we did it. But for the sake of today, I figured I'm gonna try to give you guys as much home gym knowledge as I've got. I'm gonna try to impart all that wisdom upon you guys. So get comfy, maybe grab a protein shake to sip on. I'd say to grab some popcorn or a snack, but we're not that kind of people. First and foremost, as I mentioned, this is the infamous rack. Going back to, I believe it was 2019, the folks at Animal said, "Hey, Evan, do you have any equipment in your basement?" To which I replied, "Amazingly, I do not." He said, "You know what? If we went in on it together, would you be interested in putting some equipment down there? You know, maybe we could film some training pieces." And I said, "Sure." And then the longer I thought about it, I said, "You know what? Why don't we build something?" Hence the build. So, you know, there, in my opinion, is nothing more fundamental than a power rack. Right? With this rack, the intention being to utilize the barbell. Right? So whether you are bench pressing, shoulder pressing, squatting, working off the rack, and you know, maybe doing deadlifts, barbell rows, curling. Yeah, you could do that. You know, when you got your own rack at home, you could curl in the rack. Imagine that. Which I'm gonna be honest, I never understood why that was so much of a sin. Yes, if it's prime time in the gym and you're doing fucking barbell curls and some dude's waiting to squat, yes, no bueno. But I don't see anything intrinsically bad or wrong. Like, what are we supposed to do? You gotta put the bar on the ground? I don't do that. I don't curl off the ground. Anyways, we took some time, put this rack together, okay? It's made out of 3/16 steel, okay? It's pretty freaking thick. And this rack is solid, okay? This whole side is welded. This whole side is welded. I made these cross members so that we could get this thing into the basement, bolted together. It is anchored to the floor, and it is pretty damn solid. If you purchased nothing else for a home gym, you want a power rack, you want a barbell, preferably a good barbell. I'm gonna tell you right now, even for a piece of garbage, fucking junk barbell, you're still gonna spend probably 150, 200 bucks. All right, this is a Texas Power Bar. In my opinion, the best all-around barbell out there, okay? Made in Texas. This will last a lifetime. I think it was 350 bucks. I don't think you're gonna go wrong. Next comes the bench. Now, this is a Body Masters bench. This thing is probably from the early 90s. It is heavy, okay? It is a brick shithouse. Very stable. Again, safety first when it comes to a home gym. Another reason why I don't advocate junk bars, okay? Aside from the fact that they bend and they're just lousy to use. I've seen bars break, believe it or not. And when a bar bends, it's just not good for anything, for anybody. Do yourself a favor. Rather than amassing large amounts of equipment, start first with good equipment. You're always gonna be able to work up from there and amass more. But you need the good fundamentals. You need a good rack, you need a good bar, you need a good bench. And then what comes next? You need good plates. Come with me. Over here, as you can see, I've got a weight tree. It's actually a Cybex weight tree, in case anybody's gonna ask. You know, some of the Cybex's early stuff was really good. You know, it didn't really look hardcore, and it doesn't really get the same notoriety as other brands, maybe like Body Masters or Flex or Icarian, but they had some really good pieces. And I'm gonna be honest, I love this weight tree. It even has a place for a bar, which of course I'm not able to utilize it because the ceiling's in here and I got ductwork running overhead. But when it comes to plates, these here are Ivanko plates. They're their M series. M is for machined or milled. So the backs of them are milled flat, and they're supposed to be fairly accurate. I like them because they have a big fat lip on them. They're easy to grab. Most of this, well, to be honest, all of this was purchased pre-COVID. For these plates, all of it, and I've got a whole stack of 45s over there that I'm just not strong enough to need anymore. I paid $1 a pound for these, and they can still be found for that price, but you got to look As a bodybuilder, you know, I'm eating constantly. Every time I would sit down to eat, I'd be either on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, okay, punching in, you know, Ivanko, punching in Body Masters, Flex, Icarian, or if I was looking for a specific piece, you know, adjustable bench, so on and so forth. And if you look often enough, you will find stuff right when it hits, right when people list it. If it's at a good price, you'll be the first one to jump on it. Contact them, hey man, I could be out there in an hour, I've got cash. It's never gonna be when you want it. So a lot of times people get discouraged because like, well, I need a bench. Let me go look on Craigslist. Nope, there's no benches. All right, dude, doesn't work like that. This is a process. You gotta put time into this. Even eBay, all right? I found stuff on eBay because you could narrow it down to, you know, a local search. So at least then you could contact the person and say, hey man, I'm local to you. You wanna make a deal. Plates, you want good plates. I'm partial to Ivanko, even though my entire career training at Powerhouse New Haven, those were all York plates. I like the York plates just fine. They also make milled ones. You don't want plates when you put them on the bar, they don't mate up well. Okay, they're not sitting flush, they're clanking around, which brings me to my next point. Clamps. All the years that I trained in New Haven, those bars, which are all Texas power bars, and by the way, they're about 40 years old and not one of those bars is bent, which is a testament to the quality and durability and really value of those bars. And no, I'm not sponsored by Texas Power Bars or any other brand that I'm gonna talk about here today. This is all just my opinion and based on my experience of over 30 years of lifting. But anyways, collars, when I trained in New Haven, I never used collars because those bars, okay, were not chrome plated sleeves. These, okay, have chrome plated sleeves. Why chrome plated? It's not just to be fancy or to be flashy, but chrome sleeves will not rust, okay? Again, there's nothing necessarily wrong with the bar developing a light film, okay, of rust. One of the good things that it does is when you put the plates on the bar, those plates won't fall off, okay? They don't slide. They're on there and they're on there good. Like I said, my entire career, whether I was benching 4 plates or squatting 6 plates, deadlifting 4, 5, 6 plates, whatever it was, I never used collars. But training on this bar, because it's chrome plated, these lockjaw collars work really, really well. These are the Lockjaw Pros, and I know they make a lot of knockoffs of these. I wouldn't bother personally. I've had these for about 5 years now, still work flawlessly. Great, great product. Once you've got a rack, you've got a bench, you've got a bar, and you've got plates. Honestly, once you've got those things, you technically have all that you need, okay? Now, is it nice to have other stuff? Obviously. If I had enough room, I would just keep filling it with more and more equipment because it's fun and I like using different stuff. But all you technically need in the basement is what I just listed: bench, bar, rack, plates. But if you've got the room and you've got it within your budget, I'm gonna bring you to the next item that should probably be on your list. You want a nice set of dumbbells. Now, there's a lot of different dumbbells out there. My least favorite ones, and I grew up using them, are Hex dumbbells. Hex dumbbells are all one piece. They're cast iron, which is problematic in and of itself, okay? Because if you drop it wrong, if it hits something incorrectly, it can just crack or break. These, you could drop them, you're not gonna break these, right? These are pro style dumbbells. I believe these are made by Cap Barbell. Now there's all different manufacturers. Ivanko is another great one, Cap, a whole number of them. Dumbbells can get pricey, all right? Because if you're paying by the pound, what's the problem here? Like with a bar, all you need is some plates. You can make the bar whatever you want, right? You're making it, right, as you use it. Well, the dumbbells are fixed, right? It's not like you're assembling the dumbbell on the spot. So what do you need? You end up needing a ton of weight. And if your set goes by 5s, right? I actually do have the full set by 5s from 10 pounds all the way up to 120 pounds. The other half of the set is in the garage. So these just go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on. You end up with a lot of weight. So naturally, when you're paying by the pound, it gets expensive. For these, I also paid $1 a pound. Found them on Facebook Marketplace. A gym was getting rid of them because they were buying newer dumbbells. I think they were maybe like a urethane coated dumbbell that they were looking for, that they were going to customize with the name of the gym on them. These were not pretty enough for them, to which I gladly swooped in and said, yes, these are pretty enough for me. I'd love to take them off your hands for $1 per per pound. So I think the whole set, once you add it up, it either cost me $3,000 or $3,500. So not cheap. However, this is another point. Okay, very important to keep in mind. When you guys are buying gym equipment, buy good stuff. You could go and you could buy new stuff, okay? Let's call it consumer grade or prosumer grade, right? It's really made for residential use. You might go to an equipment store and the guy's gonna go, yeah, this is pro stuff. It's not. Real commercial gym equipment is very expensive when it's new. So people sometimes say, well, why would I buy expensive used stuff when I could buy new stuff that's like the same price or maybe even cheaper? When you buy prosumer or consumer or residential, whatever you want to call it, equipment, once you use it, fucking nobody wants it, dude. It's essentially worthless, at least 9 times out of 10. Whatever it is you see in this gym here, whether it's these dumbbells, whether it's one of these machines, whether it's the plates, I could turn around tomorrow and sell all of it for at least what I paid for it. Most of it I'm gonna turn a significant profit on. When you buy really good stuff, especially if you get it at a decent price, you're really just parking money. You could get that money back anytime. When you talk about value, you're better off buying good stuff because in the long run, it retains its value. So dumbbells, look, dumbbells are wonderful. They make an awesome accompaniment to barbell work. And if you have a barbell and you have dumbbells, well, you could really pretty much do anything and everything you need to do to put together really a pro level physique. But of course, then, there's room for other things. So some luxuries, some frivolities. I'm going to show you actually what was one of the first pieces. Well, it was actually the first machine I ever purchased, right? When I was rehabbing my knee the first time back in 2016 or 17, when I first blew out my quad tendon, I was having a hell of a time with recovery and getting back to things. I said, you know what? I think if I had a piece of equipment here at home that I could lean on regularly to help me rehab, it would be helpful. So I'm going to show you what it is that I picked up. You are looking at a Body Masters leg extension. In my opinion, one of the best leg extensions ever made. I paid $350 for this. And now keep in mind, right, that sounds great. Oh, $350, huh, that's wonderful. Yeah, well, dude, I had to rent a trailer, right? Pull it with my truck. And if you think this is easy to move, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a real bitch. You gotta bring tools, disconnect it, take the stack out, dolly it. This was in some guy's basement, moving upstairs, and I'm by myself, right? This is not easy. Granted, I paid a good price for it, but there was a significant amount of work involved. Once I had this, well, then naturally I had to have the hamstring curl to go along with it. This was in Connecticut, not too far from me. This, though, was up in Cape Cod, Mass. So I had to drive about 3 hours for this. I pulled a little tiny U-Haul trailer behind my truck. And it was in, again, well, of course, had to be in some guy's basement, once again. Pulled the stack out of it, disassembled it. These pads used to be blue. I sprayed them. They make vinyl spray that you could spray pads. It holds up pretty good. I mean, I did this 5+ years ago, and you would never know that it was dyed. It just matches all the other stuff. This I paid, I want to say maybe $300 or $400 for it. It's a heavy hamstring curl. A lot of hamstring curls I could use the whole stack. This, no. Both of these pieces ended up playing a significant role in helping me to rehab my knee, and now, once again, here we are with trying to recover a blown quad tendon. I had surgery back in late January on my right one this time, so here I am using this, and this time I already know what to do. I'm down here on pretty much a daily basis, even with lightweight, repping the hell out of it, keeping the quad firing, and making progress on a weekly basis. On to the next piece of leg equipment that I'm really, really fond of. Yep, there she is, guy. This is her. No, I'm kidding, it's not this. Fuck this thing, I hate this. Any of you guys want this? Holler at me. It's brand new, and this thing was like, I think the dude I bought it from paid like $2,500 for it, brand new. So it's a nice piece, and yeah, feels really good on your crack. This Cybex hack squat, awesome piece. And like I said earlier, like Cybex isn't really known as that hardcore manufacturer of early gym equipment, but dude, from the 80s, early 90s, they put out some awesome stuff, and they just happen to really, really get it right with this hack squat. The angle of the platform, and it is not a light hack. Even just without any weight on this thing, it's good for warming up. But by the time you put 1, 2, 3, dude, 3 plates on this thing is significant. Just a great piece. I paid $750 for this. It was in New Haven. It was in a container. Okay, not a container. The back of an 18-wheeler, you know, the part where you would store everything. So I don't even remember how we got it down out of it, like kind of slid it down, and I put it in a U-Haul van, brought it home, had to take part of it apart to get it through the door. And you know, this is just me by myself with a dolly. It sounds great. Oh, $750 for a hack squat, sure. But once again, there's a significant amount of work involved, but glad I've got it. Interesting fact, these pads used to be purple. They're now black. Moving on. This is a piece that I absolutely love. It's a Body Masters pec fly, but also, you know, rear delt. Awesome machine. The stack on this at 300 pounds. I'm not even that strong. I've never come close to racking this. Me and my buddy almost killed ourselves trying to get it out of his pickup truck. So we drove out to Long Island. I don't know if the guy wanted like $500 or $600 for it. We drove out to Long Island. I think it was a weeknight, and it was like a big warehouse. So dude had a tow motor and a loading dock. Dropped it right in the back of the truck, nice and easy. We strapped it down, wonderful. Now we get home and it's like, oh shit, how are we gonna get this thing out? So being the meatheads that we are, we're like trying to like lift it out of his truck. Well, we like almost dumped it. So I said, hold on a second. Back it up. So I had him back it up to a hill, right? So his tailgate kind of backed into the hill. Then we just slid it out. Then we dollied it into the basement. In hindsight, and guys, if you're ever moving equipment, I'm gonna recommend to you, take the stack out, all right? Much safer, you're much less likely to hurt yourself, becomes much more manageable. But a couple things you should have, obviously some tools, a dolly, a hand truck, and should be feeling strong. If you can, bring somebody with you to help you. Next thing, this is more recent, very excited about this. This piece I absolutely love. Now it's been, like I said, about 5 years in this basement, working predominantly on free weights. Yes, a couple machines, but no cables. And man, I really wanted some cables. Now, do you need cables to grow a big, thick, strong physique? No, you actually do not. But man, they are sure nice to have and really help you to mix things up. This is actually meant to be part of a cable crossover. So this is just one half. It's meant to be another stack on the other side and then a cross member that goes apart to connect it and to stabilize it. So this thing on its own will just fall over. Well, if you follow me on Instagram, there's a video of me making this bracket for it so that I could attach it to the floor joist to stabilize it, and it is solid as could be. It's wonderful. I can use it for arms, shoulders, back training. I've been using it for pull downs, seated rows. I bring the bench over here, do seated rows off it. Obviously using it for triceps and side delts and whatnot. This I got locally. The next town over, it's actually at a firehouse. And the guys had a little gym and they just recently got some funding to purchase new equipment. So they had listed all their older stuff. And as soon as I saw it, you know, especially being close to home, I jumped right on it. Got it for, I think, $750 for, you know, the whole thing. So now I still have another half to it that's just sitting there not being used. But I was glad to pay that price to have this at my disposal. Really glad to have this at my disposal. This pretty specialized, pretty specific piece, but also very sought after and beautiful piece. Chest supported T-bar row, but not just any chest supported T-bar row. This was made by a manufacturer by the name of TK Star, TK standing for Tom Kinney. He's based out of New York. He's maybe not as known as some of the more mainstream manufacturers, but he has manufactured a lot of equipment throughout the 80s, 90s, and even to today, only putting out custom orders. Incredibly talented fabricator. Some of his pieces have become especially sought after. And this chest support row is actually one of them. This piece was actually given to me by a very close friend of mine who's a bit of an equipment connoisseur. And he has so much equipment, and I believe it got to the point where there was something about this that was maybe bothering his wrist. So him being the wonderful friend that he is said, hey man, you want this piece? And I said, sure. What do you want for it? He said, nothing. Pay the guy to move it out of my basement and it's yours. Guys, you can't ask for a better friend. So Ron, you're out there watching this. Thank you. He also gave me a beautiful, like brand new, essentially, pendulum squat. I haven't been using it recently because of my knee, but once everything is 100% back in full swing, so will my use of the pendulum squat will also be back in full swing. Wonderful piece, and this was great. You know, even when I was recovering from surgery, I was down here in a brace a week after surgery, but I was able to still do some back. You know, you're not doing barbell rows or deadlifts at that point, so something like this especially came in handy. And what a heavy piece. I don't use more than a plate on this bad boy. It is heavy, it's hard, it's smooth, and it's awesome. Thank you, Ron. Moving on, one of my favorite pieces. I guess all this stuff is really my favorite pieces, but I've used the hell out of this piece. I wanted this piece specifically, went and sought it out, drove all the way to New Jersey for, I think, Central Jersey. I was about 3 hours away, I traveled for this, but this is a Nebula Glute-Ham Raise. Nebula stuff has become particularly sought after as of late, seeing as they're now defunct, but they put out some awesome stuff over the years. This Glute-Ham Raise being no exception to that, and actually being my favorite one I've ever used from any manufacturer. This I paid $600 or $700, which is, you know, in my opinion, quite a bit to pay for a piece like this. Aside from deadlifts, Glute-Ham Raise, one of the best hamstring builders there is, in my opinion. So absolutely love this piece. And I guess it's worth mentioning this treadmill, which, funny story, it was in a gym locally that shut down, and they began emptying the gym, and a buddy of mine kind of had to hook up, and we got some stuff at a really good price. I paid $300 for this treadmill. It's a full-on Matrix commercial treadmill. I probably knew it's around $5,000, and it was essentially brand new when I got it, so nice score right here. This is an Icarian standing hamstring curl, and underneath my stairs was actually a really good place for it. This came from a gym in Connecticut, not too far away. The guy who sold it to me was an absolute sweetheart. I believe he initially wanted $500 for it, and when I got there, he was just so generous, and I think he like knocked $100 off it, and sweet guy. Norm, if you're watching, thank you. Great piece. I use it regularly. Also from Norm was this seated calf raise. This is a Flex Fitness one. Great piece, very straightforward. For whatever reason, I don't know what happened, but I had to weld a new piece on here to insert into here, and once I did that, it works flawlessly. And I don't have room for a standing calf raise or anything like that, so this certainly gets the job done. Norm, thank you again. That is about it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the tour. Hopefully it's been maybe a little bit informative, a little bit helpful. If nothing else, hopefully entertaining. You know, the whole purpose of this gym was to increase efficiency. It ended up making me look like a genius when COVID struck and all the gyms closed, and everybody was like, hey man, how did you know the gyms were gonna close? You built your home gym just in time. Obviously I didn't know COVID was coming or that gyms would be closed, but it really worked out well. And since I've become accustomed to training in my basement, I mean, look, I get up most mornings 4:30, I'm down here by 5, having already eaten breakfast, get my training done by 6:30. That really helps me to increase my efficiency. I'm pretty busy. I've got a lot going on. And unfortunately at this point, you know, driving, you know, maybe a half an hour north up to Powerhouse, New Haven, probably the best gym, at least in my opinion. The bold statement, it's the best gym in the world. But I just don't have the time right now to get up there. So, you know, 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back. I see my friends there. We bullshit, so I don't have that kind of time to kill. So this gym allows me to be productive, to be efficient. Guys, love you. Thanks for watching. See you soon.